Today, I'm going to be sharing 3 life lessons that I live and breathe by that have changed my life. And I don't know where I'd be without these life lessons. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Full and Thriving. And I'm back after a 2 to 3-ish month break where I was taking care of some pretty important things in my personal life. And before I dive into what that looked like, I want to first say that this is the first ever visual episode of the Full and Thriving podcast. So if you just love having me in your ears, but you want a visual component, or maybe you've always wanted that, you can see me while I'm teaching, while I'm sharing and filming this episode. So this is really exciting. I've never had the belief that I could do solo shows on camera, but I have made it my mission to just get used to it. I'm putting myself out there and I am doing the thing. So yes, I am working on my evolution and working on being able to serve you all in such a new way, which is really exciting. So anyway, let's get on to the updates of personal life, because honestly, a lot has going on. And as Becky in the Recovery Collective said the other day, this is truly my year. I couldn't be more grateful for where I found myself. So first of all, I actually got married on March 8th, which is so freaking cool. I'm filming this at the end of April, so it's been over a month of newlywed bliss. And I gotta say, when I booked the March 8th date with Dan, we had a few things in mind. We were like, screw a long engagement because we're in our 30s. We want to start having babies. We want a family. Let's not wait a full year. Let's get married in 6 months. So we booked March 8th, and it's cheaper on the wallet to book a really gross month in Connecticut. March is probably the grossest month of the entire year. I kid you not. It's just rainy. It's gloomy. And so I completely surrendered the idea of having nice weather. Like, in my head, we booked a beautiful venue. It had a nice reception space, a nice cocktail hour space, all in this giant, beautiful barn. And if it rained, which I expected, I'd be okay with it. So I didn't spend a single ounce of time thinking about the weather. Anyway, the day came and it was the warmest, sunniest day I have encountered in March in the longest time. So we were truly blessed. I'm so grateful. Dan and I had an amazing time. Dan, in classic Dan style, brought everyone to tears with his personal vows. And me, in my classic style, decided to give him a big smooch on the altar before the priest told me it was time. It was in the middle of the ceremony, but I was just so thrilled with everything he had shared in his vows that I just went for it. And I don't know, it was a good time. I ugly cried down the entire aisle, which I did not expect at all. But that brings me to my next announcement, which is I found out I'm expecting a baby boy. We found out in late January, and he is due September 30th. So this is just such a powerful time in my life. I'm so grateful. I've wanted to be a mom since I was really little. And it's funny because looking back at the wedding, I'm realizing I was bawling down the altar, probably because of hormonal things happening at the time. But anyway, we are having our baby boy. We are thrilled beyond belief. We're actually going to a scan later on today, so praying for really positive results there. I'm currently 17 weeks along, and so you guys are part of this journey with me. You've been with me through all the ups and downs of my life, and so I'm excited to be sharing just more personal updates with all of you as I move forward in this podcasting journey with you. I also am ready to announce that this is a new chapter. I'm coming back from 2 to 3 months off of podcasting. I've been podcasting for 4 years. I've made over 150 podcast episodes on eating disorder recovery. And so as we start this new chapter together, we will be expanding to topics beyond eating disorder recovery content. I have loved working and podcasting in this space, but to be honest, I always wanted this podcast to be more than an eating disorder recovery resource. That's why I named the podcast Full and Thriving. I wanted to pick a name that would evolve with me just in case I felt courageous enough to expand. So from here on out, we're going to be weaving in some recovery elements because it is part of my life, but we'll also be talking about other topics such as psychology, relationships, personal development, communication, all the things that I love, the lessons I've brought into my life, and the things I'm curious about. So we'll be learning alongside each other, and I'll also be teaching you, sharing some wisdom, sharing some insights with the hope that everything I am teaching and sharing brings you more inspiration and growth to your life. My greatest honor is when I hear people, I guess, reach out to me who I don't know from a random country and say something like, "Oh my gosh, I've been listening to your podcast and it has changed my life. It has helped me more than years of therapy and it inspired me to do XYZ. Thank you so much." For some reason, being the person who can be a catalyst to someone's internal change lights me up. And through this message, right? So podcasting is unique because I'm sharing a message. I'm not interacting with you, but you're absorbing and learning the things that I'm sharing. So my greatest joy and hope is that this podcast continues to help you learn and feel this deep inspiration and hope for yourself to improve your life, to heal, to become the best version of yourself. And this is going to be truly exciting. So a few example episodes we have coming up is how to be a more confident person, how to heal from people pleasing, how to face adversity and transform that into greatness, right? Things that I feel like anybody can connect to, especially the eating disorder recovery audience. A lot of these topics are going to be tangential from that. So they're themes that we unpack, such as perfectionism, setting boundaries. All of these themes are so related and you can apply them to your recovery or beyond, which is what I am so ready to do. Okay, so if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for sticking with me. And if you are new, welcome to the show. And now that I've shared so much with all of you, I want to dive in with this opening episode. It's kind of a warm-up episode for all of us to get our toes wet in this new, beautiful ocean of podcasting with a greater expanded vision. So today I'm going to be sharing 3 life lessons that I live and breathe by that have changed my life. And I don't know where I'd be without these life lessons. And I want all of you to check in with all of these and see how they apply to your life, right? So as you're listening, I want you to be thinking about what you can do in your life related to these. So today, I'm going to be sharing these 3 big lessons. So the first one is you must let go of the things that no longer serve you. So in fact, I truly believe that you need to focus on constantly reinventing yourself, constantly checking in with where you aren't feeling inner peace and practicing letting go of those things that are causing you distress and suffering. So remember, there is this quote I love. I might botch it right now, but it says, pain is required, suffering is optional. So in this case, I want you to check in with where you are feeling distress. This could be areas of your life such as your career, your job, your boss, the people you're surrounding yourself with. Think about this and then think about whether or not you are ready to let those things go, because I deep down believe that every time you let something go, it opens up your life to something more beautiful, right? And so even though it might not be the way you pictured life to go, it's important to almost surrender that so that you can transform and become closer to the person you are meant to be. So bringing it back to my life story, when I had my eating disorder, I had essentially sold my soul to the fashion industry. And I had worked so hard to get signed by one of the top agencies in fashion in New York. And I really felt like this was my way. I felt like I was going to be completely engulfed into this career. And I did not care that I was harming myself with an eating disorder. I would run to castings. I would go to fittings. I studied everything about the photographers, the models, the designers. It became my life. But I was also super entrenched in an eating disorder that was draining my energy and draining my soul. So I realized at one painful moment after using a bunch of eating disorder behaviors that in order for me to actually heal, I had to do something drastic. So I decided to quit modeling then and there. And I decided to leave the toxic environment that was perpetuating all of these awful thoughts about my body, my size, food. Diet culture was rampant in the fashion industry. So the decision to let go of modeling really helped me align with my healthy self. And so I had to let go of something that I dreamt for in order to evolve. So I want you to think about the thing that's causing you distress. Why is it still in your life? What are you holding on to? Is it a dream that you hope for? Is it an outcome that you're attached to? You have to have the courage to let go of that outcome and be okay with the unknown and the uncertainty of that. And that is terrifying. But I'm telling you right now, the most beautiful moments of my life have always shown up as a reward for aligning myself with my truth and honoring my intuition and honoring my sense of inner peace. So that is my first piece of wisdom for all of you today. And that is let go of the things that are no longer serving you. Let go of the things that are causing you suffering. Have the courage to step away from those things and connect with your joy again. So that's number one. Okay. The second lesson I am here to teach all of you is the importance of flexibility on your mental health. I think inflexibility is the crux of mental health issues that I work with on a daily basis. I see people who are inflexible about their schedule, about their relationships, about their food. Everything has to be a certain way. And this inflexibility translates to inflexible thinking, where you are so set in stone on your beliefs, your ideas, your attitudes, that you actually can keep yourself stuck and with tunnel vision that keeps you on a really hopeless path. So my thought here is that flexibility is so imperative. And I want you to start thinking more flexibly about your life. Inflexibility makes you feel stuck, and feeling stuck causes feelings such as depression, and hopelessness and despair, where when you can be flexible, you are opening up to new possibilities. You are looking for things you haven't seen yet that can turn into new opportunities that can help you flow along with the course of life. Because as we know, nothing in life is certain. Life is going to be throwing us curveballs, and it is sooner rather than later that we need to learn how to cope and adapt to things that come our way. I know that I had an inflexible belief and concept keep me stuck in my previous relationship for almost 5 years. So when I was considering breaking up with this individual, I could not bring myself to do it because I had this very rigid, inflexible belief that breakups need to be hard. They need to be painful. They are emotional. They always involve fighting. And then you never talk to that person again. And it's like they never existed. It might as well be almost like a death, right? People actually register breakups as a death in their psyche. And so I, knowing that and firmly believing that, did not want to follow through with ending this relationship. I was stuck dead in my tracks. I wanted to do the thing, but I could not see another way around it. I did not want to have emotional turmoil. I did not want to have this distressing uproar of emotions where I destroy every alliance that I had built with this person. But I could not see another way. I was not thinking openly. I was not thinking flexibly. And it wasn't until my coach at the time just offered me a new thought. And this coach said to me, hey, you know what? It is possible to go through a breakup and have peace and have a peaceful breakup. And I honestly couldn't even fathom this. I had no idea what that looked like. I had no life experience to support that version of a breakup. So I let my brain do some exploring. I considered what that would look like. I started to visualize a breakup where there's a calm conversation and kindness and respect and strength and vulnerability and sticking to my truth. So I processed this visualization and I soon was able to see what I thought was impossible to be possible. And from that, I created a plan to leave peacefully and with strength, dignity, and respect. And if I hadn't been open-minded, if I hadn't been flexible, I would have stayed stuck because I did not have the courage to leave the relationship with a giant explosive fight. So just an interesting story for you to wrap your heads around. Think about where in your life are you not picturing all the alternatives? Where are you taking no for an answer when maybe there are other ways to do this? Where are you not being flexible on the small things? And how is that causing distress in your life? Again, a lot of what I do with my clients is noticing the emotions that come up when things change and being able to cope with the discomfort of that. And so it's important that all of you start to think about, how can I cope with spontaneity? How can I cope with things out of my control? What would a flexible version of myself look like? Okay, the final lesson I want all of you to think about, and this is one that I've been valuing for a long time, but have recently reconnected with, and that is the importance of prioritizing human connection. Now, like I said, with an exception to my wedding date, it has been a long, gross, rainy, disgusting, depressing winter over here in Connecticut. And I am in front of a screen all day long working from home. 2 of those days, I don't have a car because Dan's job switched. Now he's part-time driving into the office. So there have been days I haven't left my house. The only person I've socialized with are my clients and my dog, and then Dan when he comes home. Woo, it has been long and it has been tough. And one thing that has become very clear to me is that I have made socializing way too formal. I'm like, we need to have it planned in advance and it needs to be reserved on a reservation. And I need to clean the whole house and I need to make sure we have great food to feed everyone. And I need to spend hours with these people socializing. I've made it so formal. But what I'm reconnecting with lately is this idea of casual human connection, making it relaxed. And for me, this has looked like calling up a neighbor and doing a 30-minute walk around the neighborhood. Or maybe it's swinging by a friend's house and dropping off something for them to borrow and just saying hi for 15 minutes. It can look like having friends over in the backyard for pizza, which I love because you don't have to cook and you don't have to clean the inside of your house. For me, it looks like going to cycle bar and then after class, getting coffee with my instructor. So adding moments of connection instead of being a little hermit whose only mission in life is to honestly work. And so I am someone who values relationships more than anything. I think the quality of your relationships can make your life so fulfilling, so meaningful. And I see this reflected in my clients. The clients with more fulfilling relationships seem to thrive more easily. And I'm also realizing the amount of interaction is really important. I do care about quality interaction, but sometimes it's just the interactions that are simple that can take us out of our heads where all the drama is and into the present moment where we can feel that connection, which feels so good. Humans are designed to be connected. We do not do well with isolation. So going to a coffee shop and chatting it up with the barista a little bit or whoever's there, making small talk with people, waving to your neighbors, petting their dogs, doing something to help them out. These little interactions I've kind of stopped prioritizing, and I'm realizing that these are also great ways to bring moments of joy in your life. Because remember, life is 50-50. It's not going to be this perfect, joyful experience 24/7. You have difficult moments and you have joyful moments. And I've been actively seeking more joy through human connection on a casual, easygoing way. And I think this was lost during the pandemic. And when many of us started working remotely, was that these little interactions were lost. And I have been so much happier actively seeking this out. And I've made a commitment to leave my house at least once a day outside of walking the dog and trying to socialize. Who can I reach out to? I am initiating things again. And I want you guys to think about this as well. Do you sit around your house just waiting for people to initiate social interactions with you? Or are you being the initiator? The initiator is the person who finds the joy, right? So I want you to initiate. You might not get people saying they can make it, but I don't want you to take it personally. Have you ever been invited to something and was mad at the person for inviting you or judged the person for inviting you? I'm sure you were happy. I'm sure you were excited. So if you extend invites to other people, they'll be happy and grateful that you did. They're going to feel more liked. And I promise you, you will start to get those reciprocal invitations. So again, what is something small you can do, or who is something you can reach out to help you start reprioritizing human connection? So that is lesson number 3. I know that these lessons are not exactly cohesive. There's no big theme to this episode. And I know down the road there definitely will be. But today I just wanted to start focusing on the things that were on my heart. So with that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of the show and our first visual episode. It has been an interesting experience. I promise you I will continue refining the skill of being in front of the camera. And also I will be bringing you topics that we can all relate to and use to expand our lives, to grow on a personal level, and to feel more connected with our most authentic selves. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, whether that's to the podcast or to the YouTube channel. And I look forward to giving you more episodes as we move along. Next week, I will be having a very special guest on the show, and together we will be talking about people pleasing, how to heal from people pleasing, and the importance of prioritizing your needs and knowing that your needs matter. So that episode is going to just be an amazingly helpful one for so many of you. So, all right, everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to catching you next time on the Full and Thriving podcast. Bye.